Believe it or not, you need to understand the basic rules of supply and demand if you're a storyteller. This is not a discussion. This is not a suggestion. This is a fact. Get used to it. Stay tuned if you want to know the basics of how and why market saturation matters in storytelling. Now, when I talk about market supply and demand, I'm sure you're thinking of how your story is marketed compared to other stories. That's not what I'm talking about, but let's actually talk about that. Supply and demand. So usually there's like a demand for a certain type of story and the goal is to supply it. But when you look at this under the lens of market saturation, as much as certain stories are all in demand and supplying them will get you paid or something, I don't know where you are in your career right now, your story will be drowned out in a market that has high demand unless there's something unique. There's a unique selling point for your story. So now we are talking about quality or quantity if your unique selling point is that you have 1,000 chapters. So the main takeaway is you need to have a way to provide value when you go to a saturated market. Unless you are like niching down in your type of story with a very niche demand and you supply that. But if you are going into a saturated market, you need to be very unique about it. Now we have the external story market sorted. Let's move on to quote-unquote internal story market.
Like and subscribe.
Now, internal story market is the market within your story. What does that even mean? Basically, the value of things, characters, plot points, settings that are happening in your story. We know the rule of Chekhov's gun, everything in a story must matter. 100% I believe in this rule, but the thing is, the human mind doesn't think like that. That's why, as much as we all be thinking while watching a series, watching a thriller or some mystery, and we want to solve it, and we use Chekhov's gun about how every detail matters to deduce what the mystery is, sometimes we still get caught with a sleight of hand, because as much as every detail matters, the human mind won't register every detail. We won't focus on every detail, and that's where market saturation comes in. If everything matters, nothing matters. You need to have a hierarchy of things that matter. Certain things need to matter more than other things. That's what I'm saying. Everything matters, but certain things need to matter more. And you use this to even measure characters. Some characters prioritize, revenge more than their relationships with their friends. I'm looking at you, Cats. And then their character arc is about reversing what they value more. You can't focus on everything. You need to guide focus. Learn how to guide focus in your story. And another thing, this can also go into, like the power scaling, the fights in your action manga or comic. I'm an action enthusiast myself, so I think about this a lot. If everyone is strong, yeah. And then if one person is strong, when they are on screen, you can really predict where the fight is going to go. But if you have like a hierarchy, and the closer you get to the top, the fewer people there are. Like One Piece. Everyone could sink Luffy, but how come every fight feels very important? It's because our focus is guided onto the level Luffy is at. And on the other side of things, we can still see other characters and where they are at. We can see why Luffy is fighting how long. We can see that an admiral would be like, would sneeze and Luffy would cry. But now we're at a point where Luffy can only be challenged by admirals. What am I saying? By admirals and above, let's put it like that. Even with power scale. If there was still a lot of people for Luffy to be rivaling right now, that would devalue where his power is, right? The market is saturated. At the bottom, you just see fodder. But at the top, you can see the 12 contenders for the One Piece, for example. It's fewer the more you get to the top. The value at the top is not as saturated as the value at the bottom. The point here is not just to desaturate your market or whatever. It's to have certain parts of your market saturated. So you need to know how to saturate a market. And then, just like your story needs to stand out in some way, have characters that stand out in some way from the saturated market. So when it comes to selling your story in a saturated market, you need to find quality. So same thing with your characters. If you have a bunch of characters who know how to, do a kamehameha, then you teach this new character how to do a spirit bomb now, bring levels to it, It's a saturated market. The Super Saiyan bargain sale is an example. All of the Saiyans were Super Saiyans, but then Goku still stood out when he became a Super Saiyan 3, and so did Gotenks. Super Saiyan 3 felt so important. We actually thought Gotenks was gonna beat Boo, or we were even wondering if Goku doesn't beat Boo, who's gonna beat Boo? Those were unique reasons for them to stand above the rest of those Super Saiyans. And then Gohan came with the ultimate form. So now we had so many contenders that were above the Super Saiyan. So the Super Saiyan got devalued to the point where Super Saiyan is just, And then there were a lot of characters who could compete to try and get Kid Buu down, taking less focus off Goku, which I liked. But apparently that's not what people like. But okay, whatever. And the same would apply with the setting. Certain places should matter more than other places. You should have different qualities for different places, and also have places that have no qualities, like fodder places. Just have different levels of quality and then saturate the lower levels and then uniquify the top levels. And the same thing goes to plot points. Emphasize the values on plot points you need emphasis on, and sometimes you can even use it to hide certain plot points that you want to use as foreshadowing or for your setup of your plot twist and whatnot. How much value you put on something will make you dictate our focus. I was watching this movie Prisoners. Spoiler alert. There was this guy. What was that guy's name? As an adult, he had a certain name and then he has this backstory. But then we see this kid on TV that went missing. Now, that kid had a lot of focus on him in that movie, and I'm like, why? They could have just told us this. Then I just had that intrusive thought of, this kid is that guy. And yeah, it turns out to be the case. Like, Chekhov's gun is I'm not gonna say a thief of joy, but Chekhov's gun is literally what we use to kind of get into the writer mind instead of a reader mind. So we might not experience a movie the way we would if we weren't thinking about how to write that movie, right? But that doesn't have to be the case. Chekhov's gun has never been a tool for audiences. It has always been a tool for writers. I mean, sure, audiences use it to rate how good a movie was, everything was in their method and whatnot. But as a writer, how do you actually use it? And this is how. Don't just Chekhov's gun everything. Just Chekhov's gun, but at different values. Use it to hide certain details. Use it to focus on certain things. Think about how to guide our focus. Now, when applying this market saturation theory, let's call it a theory, that I have, our real intentions are to pedestalize certain characters, give characters names. Like Tekken, if your story was Tekken, who are the Mishimas? That's the point of all of this. Honestly, if your story is Dragon Ball, who are the Saiyans? You can't have everyone be the cool guy. You can't have everyone be the strong one. Like people say Kaiju number 8 is Attack on Titan but with good characters. I highly disagree. I mean, if everyone is so cool and whatnot, who do we care about? The only name I remember right now from Kaiju number 8 is Kafka, and you can't even call it recency bias or nostalgia. The thing is, with Kaiju number 8, I did read it more recently. I should remember all of these people, but they're all the cool guy, they're all the strong one. Oh, there was that girl with the X. I don't remember her name, but I do remember her look very distinctly. She was very distinct. And Kafka had this friend. And then Attack on Titan, you can remember all of them for different reasons. Eren was absolutely annoying. We know Gabby is the 2 cents version of Eren. We know Sasha, and we love Sasha, the potato girl, the idiot. I mean, sure, some characters weren't focused on, some characters were poorly written. Looking at you, Mikasa. But they each had their own different roles, and sometimes those roles were just not gonna go anywhere. Let's be honest. They could have done so much with Mikasa, but they fell short there. But you'd rather have a character that's remembered for falling short than a character who is not even remembered, bro. Like, name 5 characters in Kaiju number 8, please. You can even include Kafka. Just do that in the comments for me. But yeah, the point of market saturation is you need to pedestalize to make things more memorable. And knowing how to pedestalize is like the key to everything. Knowing how to pull out Mishimas from Tekken. I hate Tekken. I don't like how they treat law, but I love the game. Beautiful game. I just hate the story. I hate the story from the bottom of my heart. And in Dragon Ball 2, I love Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball GT. You can see which side I am on. Everything that's going on now, I spit on it. I spit on Dragon Ball Super. Okay, I think that's enough. Now, pedestalizing certain characters doesn't mean like completely ignoring the other characters, the fodder characters. It doesn't mean just plugging them there and then removing them as you see fit. It simply just means you see them as tools, right? I know it sounds like see them as tools, just put them there and then throw them out. No. You take care of your tools. Your tools need to be very effective. I mean, if you see a screw, you can't just take a hammer and bang it. You need a screwdriver. And if you see a nail, screwdriver isn't gonna touch it. You need a hammer for it. You need to have proper tool usage. Your fodder characters should always reveal something about your pedestalized characters. You can't use a fodder character to hold some character on a pedestal when this fodder character is not strong themselves. You cannot prove someone is strong without making them face someone who is strong. Now, don't take a pedestal character and then use them to pedestalize another character while disregarding everything that first pedestal character had. That is just disrespectful. Build up a fodder character. Like use all the storytelling techniques to show how strong this person is, and then bring in the pedestal character and have them have a real fight to reveal how strong this other one is. You can also have fodder characters that just rule the world or whatever, and the point is to show how a pedestal character is trying to change ideas and change the way everyone thinks, fight discrimination and all of that. Right now, I would even say the final boss of One Piece, so far has just been a fodder character. It's just a character who sits on a throne and represents the idea that Luffy is trying to dismantle, the idea against all this discrimination and taking away people's freedom. All characters really are tools, but there's a special place in my heart for fodder characters, fodder tool characters, those ones that are effectively used to reveal certain things about certain characters. Boros from One Punch Man revealed everything about who One Punch Man is. He showed us that One Punch Man is bored. He showed us that One Punch Man be saving the world from who knows what, because no one actually sees, and he doesn't care about that. He doesn't want to be seen. Boros showed us everything about One Punch Man. The stakes in that show only happen when he's not around. Otherwise, if he's on the screen, he is going to win. So respect your fodder characters. Give them the same respect you give your pedestal characters, but always remember that they need to reveal something about the character who is on a pedestal. This was a weird one to talk about because it stemmed directly from my intrusive thoughts. If you've watched it this far, know that I appreciate you, and I now promote you to black belt status in Jeet control. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.